on the topic of zooming out and thinking a little bit bigger, this is a good example of that. So let's listen.
Okay, I want to go make 50 million a season, but these guys also need to be able to have a season where they can retire off of. It's like any other sport. You watch NFL, NBA, all these players are making bread. All of them are making money, no matter if they're the best. It's, growing this sport, and Jake has done that really well, where now these fighters are wanting to fight him just because they're getting a $50 million payout. And I feel like that's the goal, is just bringing more eyes and attention to this sport. And we have the diehard fans, but now we need more. We need more fans from the outside, whether you like me or not. That doesn't bother me, because I'm trying to grow the sport, make money, and make money for the other riders too. These guys are, some of these guys are barely surviving. It's wild to me that this is kind of where our sport's at right now. It needs to take a massive spike, and that's where it's at. My mental state is dirt bikes really is gnarly on the mind. I mean, that's like the reason why I feel like I've excelled so well so quickly. It hasn't taken me a while to get my feet wet in this sport. I feel like I was able to excel really quick just because of my mental side. Like, every time I go to that starting line, I tell myself I'm going to win. Every time I get to the track, every time I set for qualifying, I tell myself I'm going to win or be the fastest. It's this mental state of no one can beat you. As cocky as it sounds, that's the mental state I'm in. And whether I win or lose.
Pretty cool. So
interesting.
I love the first part of that, where he talks about growing the sport. Thinking bigger than himself. That's a purpose of thinking bigger than yourself, which is why he's also unembarrassable in a sense, and not unapologetic. He's unapologetic when it comes to riding and doing things the way that he does it. Right? He just wants to. He's doing it for a bigger purpose than even to just win that race. The overall purpose for him is to elevate all of it, which is cool, because there's nobody is doing that. Nobody's doing that, and unfortunately, even the Lawrences, the way that they're operating right now, they're just going out to win races for themselves, and it kind of, the ball stops there a little bit, right?
It almost has to be a selfish sport, doesn't it? Because it's a sport that's completely caked in self-development. It's caked in self-performance, self-belief. So it is a very selfish sport. So when you can kind of take yourself out of that, like he just has, and look at it from like we talked about the other day, about looking with a bigger lens, right? And zooming out. That's what he's doing there. He's zooming out for the kind of bigger picture and the growth of the sport as a whole entity, which is great.
100%. And yes, there's still very much the I am the best within that, right? Which is fine though, because when you do start to think bigger picture like that and understand kind of how things work, and move from survival mode more into creative mode, then you understand the power that you have. So of course you believe in yourself. You believe in everybody. You believe in yourself. I just wish there were more people in the sport, and I get it. It's tough because the sport will knock you down so easy. And make you feel like you need to go into survival mode and fend for yourself. Absolutely. But we need more people that are truly trying to grow it. And there's ways that he could take it to the next level too, because it's easy to say that, and it's also easy in a sense to bring in new fans by having the Conor McGregor-esque attitude. But then what? Then what is you rely on the Moto Academy to teach people how to ride the bikes and to give them a community to actually stay in the sport, right? And that every conversation we have, Al, and anytime we talk about ego, the problem is always only that people don't zoom out and think big enough. Right?
Yeah, and I think that's probably where I've got confused about ego too. And I think talking about what Deegan's just said there about his mindset, I think people often conflate the two, because I think what he's talking about there is obvious. What he's talking about is mental strength. And then I would always kind of bring it back to the narrative of mental illness, and the fact I believe people collate those two things. They conflate those two things. Because for me, like, mental strength is like a resilience with awareness, right? it's control. It's kind of control, and it's not suppression. So you actively choose to be mentally strong, whereas mental illness is kind of, it isn't a lack of willpower. It's kind of, it's a psychological malfunction, right? That needs support and often treatment. So I do understand and fully agree with what you're saying there about the whole mental strength thing.
But those are on the same plane.
And there's been times often where
those are on the same plane of,
right.
Those are opposites.
Right.
I don't think that I don't have mental strength. I have faith. Faith doesn't have an opposite.
Interesting.
Yeah, faith doesn't have an opposite. So and I believe that he kind of has that faith as well. And he's just using the wrong words there. A mental strength, confidence has an opposite, which is fear, anxiety, depression. Right?
Okay.
Yeah. And those are all ego identities. Those are...
What if you're like...
Go ahead.
Sorry. What if you're like someone like me who kind of lives in both of those?
Yeah. It's just because you're living within the ego. So everything that you would experience has to either be labeled as good or bad. Mental strength or anxiety. I like this thing. I don't like this thing. Which, yes, we do need some of that, because without it, we wouldn't have a real life. We wouldn't have an experience here on earth. But yeah, when you like dive into what the Bible is really telling us, and God created the world so that he could have an experience of what it is like to exist. You could have an awareness of what it is like to experience the world. And that the only way you can experience something is by there being a good and a bad. That's what yin and yang is, I'm pretty sure. It's there has to be an opposite for a thing to exist. But there is what God is, and what being godlike is the faith of which it doesn't have an opposite. It's the same thing with like unconditional love. Doesn't have an opposite. When you are lusting for somebody, or when you are in the early stages of a relationship, when you think you love somebody, how does that usually manifest itself? A lot of times it manifests itself in volatile arguments, right? In an emotional roller coaster of up and down, right? And it's not until deeper into a relationship, when you spend 5, 10, 20 years with somebody, hopefully, and you've grown together, where it then becomes unconditional love, where you are one, and there is not an opposite to that. Again, I'm not making sense to anybody.
Yeah.
I mean, if we have thousands of people listening to this, maybe one person is understanding, but hey,
that's okay.
Got to start somewhere.
That's okay.
If you guys enjoyed that podcast clip, you can listen to full episodes on Apple Music and Spotify. And make sure, if you haven't already, join our community inside of the Moto Academy app. Go to themotoacademy.com today. I'll see you guys inside the community.